Welcome to SunnySpeaks. Here again with another review for you, and you. And today, I'm here to talk about Frankenstein, written and directed by Guillermo Del Toro and starring Jacob Elordi, Oscar Isaac, Mia Goth, and many more. Based on the 1818 novel by Mary Shelley, this adaptation of the Frankenstein story takes a more positive approach, while still being gothic and epically dark. Del Toro pushes the monster towards more lighter and whimsical themes. This film has a two-act structure following Victor Frankenstein's perspective and then the creatures. Is this adaptation worth it? And do the changes to the original plot help or hinder this new addition to Frankenstein's film history? First, I want to talk about the visuals, because they are the clear standout in a movie that deserves a good amount of praise in different areas. Dan Lauschen was the cinematographer on the film. Not only is the film visually ambitious, but executes on the CG effects and the practical effects the entire time. Though Frankenstein having a modern look comparative to your average My Chemical Romance or Paramore fan in the 2000s, I thought it really worked visually. It kind of looks like the Prometheus aliens in the very beginning. I really liked the way the camera captures Frankenstein, being able to play with angles to make him seem more big and monstrous or small and pure despite his obvious stature. The costume design for all the characters was perfect, telling a story with just the clothes they chose for each character, and the set design reminded me of Nosferatu, and that's a huge compliment to this film because that movie's sets looked amazing. Getting to the actors, I thought Jacob Elordi as the creature was expectedly really good. Very quickly he sold me with his mannerisms and his stares that conveyed so many emotions with no words. One of the first things the creature does in the film when being born is hug someone. My first thought was, why would that be an instinct for this amalgamation of corpse parts? But then I came to accept that's the perspective Del Toro wanted to speak from. Instead of creating nuance within a monster without proper teaching or care, Del Toro chooses to look at the lack of human influence as the reason why the creature has a good heart. And when it comes to Elordi and his performance, I think he played a vulnerable, emo Frankenstein's monster very effectively. I think this is one of those roles that will forever change how people see Jacob Elordi as an actor moving forward. And I think this is going to catapult his rise even further after the Netflix release. Oscar Isaac plays Victor Frankenstein, and though thinking this part of the story may be a little slow or a bore, I think Oscar Isaac again shows why he's one of the best working actors today. Victor Frankenstein is a piece of shit through and through. There are no arguments. And I loved watching him the entire time. Not only is he conniving and intelligent to a fault, but he's also weak and pathetic. Think if Alonzo's King Kong speech at the end of Training Day was said by a racially ambiguous mad scientist in 1857. And that's basically Victor's character in this adaptation. All gravitas, but underneath is extreme weakness and sadness. One of the interesting things about his character is after accomplishing his mission to create life and be God, he doesn't say that it's alive quote that is the most famous thing from the Frankenstein story, and if anything is sad after his success, saying, I didn't think about what happens after creation. Though being loud and out there, it's quite a melancholic performance. When Victor and the creature are the happiest are when they are interacting with Mia Goth's character, Elizabeth. One, Mia Goth is definitely a film crush of mine. Every time I see her in something, I'm stunned. But the character of Elizabeth showed me some things in her acting tool belt that opened my eyes even more than they were. Elizabeth isn't just beautiful physically, but her mind and spirit lean towards the positive and spiritual, which is the opposite of Victor. And her impact on Victor is summed up very simply when he says, I was focused on harnessing death for so long and then life appeared in front of me. The only thing though is that Elizabeth is Victor's brother's fiance. And as the story goes on, the will they won't they energy between Elizabeth and Victor becomes a sickening and corrupted, unrequited love. And Mia Goth's performance in those scenes with Victor showed resolve, fear, love, hate, all towards one person. My main problem with Elizabeth as a character is when interacting with the creature. Though understanding what they were going for, two beings feeling trapped by captors in different ways. Elizabeth's love for him being because he truly sees her, and vice versa. I think we could have spent some more time building that, or even poking at Elizabeth as a character, being this moral compass for the rest of our people in this story, but falling for a put-together corpse puzzle. In the movie, Victor says, "You shouldn't feel an attraction for this thing," and Elizabeth retorts saying, "It's not attraction, but understanding." Maybe for others it didn't bother them, and it's not a huge criticism for me, but it just lacked the impact I think the film wanted to invoke. If you want to do a romance between Elizabeth and the creature, I understand that. That's pretty per the course, but I think it would have been really interesting to try to poke at that a little more and to question her own morals when doing that, because how much autonomy does this creature really have, you know? That was just a thought that I had when watching the film. That slight criticism leads me to my main criticism of the film, which is the writing. Though I liked the spin on a darkly tale, I struggled with the Disneyfication of the creature, and at times found it unintentionally funny and ridiculous. I can rock with the creature having super strength and the emo hair, but did struggle when rats are cuddling up to him while he sleeps because he's so pure of heart, like a Disney princess. Knowing myself as a viewer, I would have appreciated some more nuanced discussions about each character instead of a fairly black and white story about portrayal, neglect, forgiveness, and self-acceptance. Though saying all this, one of my favorite moments in the movie is seeing the creature build a connection with a blind man played by David Bradley. Though it is cheesy and cliche, I loved their friendship and felt most of the emotions the film wanted to convey in those moments particularly. Again, while appreciating the message greatly, and I'd say for the most part I can get past it, I do wish the story's narrative carried more nuance, especially for the creature and Elizabeth individually and as a pairing. One of the last things I want to talk about when it comes to the cast is the creature and Victor's connection, because I think that it was really well done. Jacob Elordi and Oscar Isaac have really great chemistry together on screen, and I felt for the creature so much because of what Victor was doing to him and being very neglectful and very rageful because of his own setbacks as a person, but also because of his trauma with his own father. And even if it is a little, I wouldn't say it's forced actually, I liked the parallel of starting with Victor's perspective and showing his relationship with his father, and then showing how he couldn't connect to his creation and his son after he creates the creature. I thought that was well done and allowed me to even understand, though I never justified, but understand why Victor is the way he is towards the creature. It makes sense when you have that backstory, and made those scenes a lot more impactful. So I really did like their dynamic, and I think that that was the best duo on screen, and it should be. You know, it's Frankenstein, so having the mad scientist Victor Frankenstein and his monster be the most engaging thing on screen when it is on screen is only a plus. While watching the movie, I felt like I was watching someone accomplish a dream. I think I remember Guillermo Del Toro saying that he's always wanted to make a Frankenstein movie, and when he got the chance, he seized the opportunities that presented themselves. Visually, it's incredible, and I'm glad I saw it on the big screen instead of seeing it on Netflix, though I do think people will enjoy this movie greatly, even on their TV. You can tell Del Toro has love for the creature on a deep level, and wanted to show the world how he sees that type of character and this story. And in this year of so many horror films, so many fucking horror films, I thought it was cool to do something overly positive with such a classic horror film staple. The movie does a good job adding humor in the right moments too, never taking away intensity or weight, but reflecting on the insanity of a character or circumstance. And shout out Christoph Waltz as Harlander and Felix Kammerer as William, Victor's brother. Though not having a lot to say about these characters, I thought they added color and range to the story in a way I valued. Overall, I would give Frankenstein a mostly cloudy rating. After leaving the theater, this was my first thought, but I could see myself enjoying this movie more on a second rewatch and with subtitles to catch certain subtleties in the dialogue. And I don't think the movie was too long, which is something I worried about, but it being 2 hours and 20 something, I actually thought that that was a solid enough runtime for what this story was trying to capture. I went into this movie with very little expectation, and I found myself surprised surprised by how engaged I was with the plot and the characters. But again, visually is where this movie shines the most. I think it's truly is a visual experience, but not in a psychedelic way, not in a trippy way, but in just the way that Guillermo Del Toro and Dan Laustsen and the whole visual team found a way to blend the unreal with the real, how the creature looks and Elordi's mannerisms behind these backdrops and locations that were chosen. Like I really got lost within the world visually, and I think that allowed for me to let some other things pass by that maybe I'd be more critical of if I wasn't so enamored by what I was looking at on screen. This has been my review of Frankenstein. If you have seen Frankenstein, let me know what you think in the comments down below, because perspective is key. If you haven't seen Frankenstein, let me know if this review makes you want to go see the movie or not. By the time this is coming out, it will be released on Netflix, so you can watch it whenever you want at your leisure. If you do have a connection to the Universal monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, the Mummy, Invisible Man, what is your favorite out of all of those? I think these creatures really paved the way for our Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and now we're so much past that, and now we have new slashers like Art the Clown. So I'm curious what you may think about those particular Universal monsters, the first real trailblazers of horror, and which one you lean towards. And if you do have a preference on a Frankenstein remake, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too, because this is probably the only one I've seen outside of the original with Boris Karloff, and I barely remember it. I just know that I have seen it before, either that one or Bride of Frankenstein. But thank you for watching, thank you for being here. I'll be back again. Peace.